Bills fans. This offseason already feels different. Not just busy, not just loud, but heavy. Like one of those moments where you can feel the front office standing at a crossroads, trying to decide if this team is going all in, or if we're about to learn something uncomfortable about where we really are. Because here's the thing. Two completely different storylines popped up around the Bills at the same time, and on the surface, they don't seem connected at all. One is about defense. The other is about offense. One is about aggression. The other is about risk. But when you step back and really look at it, they're both pointing at the same question every Bills fan is asking right now. How far is this team willing to go to finally get over the hump? Something big is being discussed behind the scenes. Something that could completely reshape how this roster looks, how it plays, and how the future is handled. And depending on how you feel as a fan, this could either make you excited or seriously nervous. We're going to break it all down today, piece by piece, because these aren't just rumors. These are moves that say a lot about the direction of this team. And before we dive in, real quick, if you're a true Bills fan, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and help us push Bills Nation Update toward our first goal of 1,000 subscribers. This channel is brand new, built by Bills fans, for Bills fans. And if you bleed red and blue, you're in the right place. All right, let's get into it. Because this first situation is way bigger than just a rumor floating around the league. After yet another season ending short of the Super Bowl, the Buffalo Bills didn't just tweak things around the edges. They made a massive move. After 9 seasons, the team moved on from Sean McDermott and handed the keys to Joe Brady. That decision alone tells you everything about where this franchise is mentally right now. Brady was promoted to keep the offense stable and comfortable, especially for Josh Allen. Even though, let's be real, this offense still needs help at wide receiver. But where things really shifted was on the defensive side of the ball. The Bills brought in Jim Leonhard as defensive coordinator, and while that was a popular hire, it also came with a big catch. Leonhard is known for working out of a 3-4 front. And that matters a lot, because this roster wasn't fully built for that. Now add this into the mix. Joey Bosa is set to hit free agency. That already leaves a hole at pass rusher. And if you're shifting schemes and potentially losing a key edge, suddenly the need for a dominant scheme-fitting pass rusher becomes urgent. That's where the name TJ Watt comes in. According to league chatter, the Pittsburgh Steelers could be heading toward a rebuild under new head coach Mike McCarthy. And the big rumor? Pittsburgh might be willing to move Watt for something in the range of a second-round pick. That idea caught fire when Behind the Steel Curtain writer Jarrett Bailey listed the Bills as one of the most logical landing spots. And honestly, his reasoning hits close to home as a Bills fan. He pointed out that Buffalo already took a swing like this before, back in 2022, when they signed Von Miller. And for about half a season, that move looked brilliant, until Miller tore his ACL on Thanksgiving and everything changed. Bailey's point was simple. After another playoff disappointment and a head coaching change, this is the moment for Brandon Beane to get aggressive again. Proven talent. No more half measures. And from a football standpoint, you can't deny how scary this would be. Imagine TJ Watt lined up next to Greg Rousseau, with Michael Hocht rotating in. That's not just good. That's a trio that could completely change how offenses game plan against Buffalo every single week. Now, let's be clear. From a value standpoint, sending a second-round pick for a former NFL Defensive Player of the Year would be an absolute steal. No debate there. But here's where reality punches us in the gut. The Bills are currently projected to be more than $7 million over the salary cap, and that's before trying to add anyone significant. Any move like this would require serious contract restructures and some creative accounting. Watt signed an extension in 2025, a 3-year, $123 million deal, and his cap hit in 2026 is a jaw-dropping $42 million. That's the part that makes this feel almost impossible, unless Bean pulls off something borderline magical behind the scenes. So yeah, from a football perspective, this makes all the sense in the world. From a financial perspective, it's a nightmare. And that's what makes this whole thing fascinating, because it forces you to ask, how desperate is this front office to win right now? And just when you think that question only applies to the defense, there's another storyline brewing on the offensive side that raises that same exact issue, but in a completely different way. And trust me, that second one might be even riskier. Now, let's talk about the other side of this conversation, because if the first situation was about aggression and cap gymnastics on defense, this one is about star power, money, and locker room trust on offense. When people around the league start looking ahead to the 2026 free agent class, there's one name that keeps coming up at the very top: George Pickens. Right now, Pickens is with the Dallas Cowboys. And yes, there's still the possibility that Dallas tries to slap the franchise tag on him. But let's be real. Everything about Pickens suggests that's not something he would take quietly. If he actually hits the open market, he's about to reset the wide receiver money. According to Bleacher Report analyst Christopher Knox, Pickens is ranked number 1 overall in his top 50 NFL free agents list. And Knox didn't just stop there. He predicted that the best and most likely landing spot for Pickens would be the Buffalo Bills, on a deal in the range of 4 years, $124 million. That's roughly $30 million per year. Knox made it clear, any team that needs a true number 1 wide receiver should be lining up for Pickens, if they have the cap flexibility. And of course, he also acknowledged the obvious problem. Dallas will do everything they can to make sure Pickens never even gets the chance to hear those offers. From a pure football standpoint, though, it's hard to argue with the fit. There may not be a team in the NFL that needs an elite wide receiver more than Buffalo right now. We've all felt it. We've all watched it. And pairing a physical 6'3", 210-pound receiver like Pickens with Josh Allen is the kind of idea that gets fans dreaming real quick. But then, reality kicks in. Because with Pickens, the talent has never been the question. This past season with Dallas, after being traded there in May, Pickens finally put everything together. Career highs across the board: 93 catches, 1,439 yards, and 9 touchdowns. That's elite production. No spinning that. The issue, and it's a big one, is everything that comes with him. Those red flags didn't start in Dallas. They followed him over from his time with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Over his short career, Pickens has been fined more than a dozen times for on-field behavior. Taunting, fighting, even writing obscene messages on his face tape. And then there was that moment in 2024, showing up late to a Christmas Day game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Stuff like that sticks with front offices. Even in Dallas, where he did mature somewhat, the issues never fully disappeared. He was benched for the first offensive series of a road game against the Las Vegas Raiders, not because of performance, but because he missed the team bus. So, now you're asking yourself as a Bills fan, are you really comfortable handing a player with that history $30 million per year? And here's where the Cowboys situation becomes important to this whole story. Jerry Jones has problems everywhere. He still needs to hire a defensive coordinator after firing Matt Eberflus after just 1 season. The defense was arguably the worst in the league in 2025. Not exactly shocking when you remember they traded away Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers before the season even started. And financially, it's ugly. The Cowboys are nearly $40 million over the salary cap heading into the offseason. That's why this quote from Mike Greenberg hit so hard. He straight up said the salary cap has been kryptonite for Jerry Jones, that his contract philosophy doesn't work financially, and arguably doesn't work from a football standpoint either. So now you've got a perfect storm. A star wide receiver who wants to get paid, a team that may not be able to afford him, and a Bills roster that desperately needs help, but has been burned before by big personalities. And just like with the TJ Watt conversation, this puts the Bills in a very uncomfortable position, because wanting the talent is easy. Living with the consequences? That's the part that could define this entire era. And when you step back and look at both of these situations together, that's when it really hits you what kind of moment the Buffalo Bills are in right now. On one side, you've got the idea of swinging big on defense, potentially bending the cap, restructuring contracts, and pushing chips to the middle of the table to land an elite, proven pass rusher who fits a brand new defensive identity. That move screams urgency. It screams we're tired of coming up short. It's a front office saying, we don't have time to be patient anymore. On the other side, you've got the offensive conversation, a possible future where the Bills chase a true no. One wide receiver, someone with jaw-dropping talent, but also baggage. A player who could unlock the offense, or bring unnecessary drama into a locker room that already knows how fragile championship windows can be. And that's the common thread here. These aren't just random rumors. Together they reveal a franchise that knows the clock is ticking. A team that understands that being really good isn't good enough anymore. The Bills are staring at a moment that feels decisive, where playing it safe might mean staying relevant. But getting bold is the only way to finally break through. Is this a positive moment? Honestly, it's both exciting and dangerous. Exciting because it shows the organization isn't satisfied with playoff exits anymore. Concerning because every aggressive move comes with real consequences, financially, culturally, and long-term. But as a fan, I'd rather have these conversations than talk about rebuilding. I'd rather debate big swings than wonder if the window is already closed. This feels like a franchise standing up and saying, all right, if we're going to do this, we're really going to do this. Now let me know what you think. Would you rather see the Bills go all in on a defensive monster, take a risk on an elite offensive weapon, or stay disciplined and trust the current core? If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and drop a comment with your take. And if you're a Bills fan who appreciates real opinions, not sugar-coated takes, make sure you subscribe to Bills Nation Update. The channel is brand new. We're pushing toward our first goal of 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you helps build this thing the right way. Bills Mafia. We're just getting started.